Hello, everyone. I'm Riyadh. I'm the first big city.
And I'm Ontario, and I'm the second big city.
Together, this is.
Big city, small talk. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Big City Small Talk.
Yes. Hello, hello. It has been a minute. It has been
It's
a
been a
minute.
hot minute, but you know what?
Yeah.
That's okay. Sometimes you just need to take a bit of time. We've had a lot of breaks, and we're back at it.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Full throttle too.
For Throttle, we got a lot of content in the works, y'all. We have ideas. So make sure you guys stay tuned in the upcoming weeks and months because we got some really fire episodes coming soon.
100%. 100%. And we're back, with our hottest takes. That's today's theme. Giving out our hot takes
Our
and
hot
discussing
takes.
them.
Because, we're people, we all have opinions, and some of those opinions kind of controversial. So, Riyadh and I have compiled our hot takes. We've got some pretty low hot takes, and we got some pretty spicy hot takes. So, we're just going to go through and we're going to kind of just discuss. I think I've got 5 and you've got 4.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
We're starting off with the less controversial, and we're building
Oh, yeah.
up. So, if you want to hear the most controversial stuff, make sure you listen to the end. You know, yeah,
Stick to the end, guys.
yeah. You
Okay.
wanna get us started with your first one?
Let's do it. Okay. My first is a classic. I am a true believer of pineapple on pizza. I love
Okay.
pineapple on pizza. I don't understand the hate. I really don't. I think it's one of the best pizza toppings there is. I think.
Um.
Oh, sorry. I think the since pizza is inherently salty, you got the cheese and the sauce and all that kind of stuff. The pineapple really brings like a sweet bite to it. And like sweet and salty have gone together for like forever. Sometimes people salt their brownies, give it a little sea salt. Like sea salted caramel is a thing. So, that sweet, it really brings out those pizza flavors and just enhances it.
Yeah. Wow. I really love that you're bringing out like technicalities of like
Oh, for
the
sure.
flavor profiles, and it's like usually a lot of people who say, "Oh, pineapple on pizza is good," they just say, "Oh, it's good." That's their only defense, but you have a strong defense. To back your argument, I believe there are specific taste buds at like the back of our tongue that only activate when something sweet and sour are like in our mouth. And that's why we
Whoa.
like, if you see a lot of like popular like couples of food, it's sweet and salty. I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
said sweet and sour.
It's,
Excuse me, sweet and salty. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so like cookies and milk, you have the saltiness of the cookie and then the milk sweetness. Um, ooh, French fries and ice cream. You have the
Oh, like
saltiness.
the people who dip it in the Frosties?
Yes,
I've
yes.
never been a dipper. I've never been a dipper.
But yeah, that's like a good thing to bring up. That was
Yeah.
very good of you. That was a good argument.
Thanks, man.
Um, I would say personally that I am an enjoyer, but I am not. If I'm ordering pizza, I do not order pineapple on pizza. I'm sorry.
Right, right. That's okay,
Um,
you know.
yeah, but I
It's
do
not for
respect.
everyone.
hmm hmm I do respect the liking of it. This might be a hot take in itself. I'm like a veggie pizza kind of guy. You know what
I
I'm saying?
wholeheartily agree with you.
Yes, man. Bell peppers and mushrooms
Bro,
and stuff like that.
mushrooms. That goes
So good.
crazy.
Black olives. So good.
We're speaking the same language here, dude.
Yeah. But I respect the pineapple on pizza.
Yeah. All right. What's your hot take?
I have also something food related.
Okay. Okay.
Mine is okay, wait. Let me preface. Let me explain. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Mine is chocolate is the worst type of candy.
Interesting.
Let me give you a little bit of
Yeah,
background.
you're gonna have to
Okay,
defend
with
this one a
me,
little bit.
me and chocolate. Growing up, exact opposite. I loved chocolate. All types of chocolate. I love dark chocolate. I love milk chocolate. The white chocolate, cookies and cream chocolate. I loved all of them, man. Anything chocolate. Growing up, I was like a passionate chocolate lover, right? But it wasn't until a few months ago that a YouTube video came into my recommended talking about like the child labor that
Oh my
a lot
god.
of these like companies like Hershey and Nestle um like put on like these African children to get the chocolate.
Right.
Um and the chocolate industry, like if you look into it, it
Mm-hmm.
is terrible. So ever since that, chocolate has put a bitter taste in my mouth. Pun
Wow.
intended.
Pun intended. See, actually, I think I knew that because my family has done like a little boycott of Nestle for a while. But I
I
didn't
respect
even think
that.
about that. When you said chocolate the worst type of candy, I thought you meant like it tasted the worst. But
Hmm.
no, here's not a hot take. Not a fan of child labor. So, not a fan of slave labor. So, yeah, okay, you've won me over. Good
Yeah,
argument.
yeah. I and honestly, this is a little bad of me. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love chocolate. Chocolate's so good. Oh my
Yeah,
god. But dude, I just can't eat it knowing where it
right.
came from, you
Yeah,
know.
I totally understand that. Yeah. So, were you a milk chocolate, dark chocolate, or white chocolate kind of guy? Like, what was your favorite?
If I'm honest, I was a chocolate connoisseur, dude. I
Just
would
any type? Okay, okay.
any type of chocolate. I loved. Oh wait, I'm having a brain fart. But you know those like circular chocolates that come in that bag.
The
They're like a
Doves?
sphere. And
Oh,
I
no, Ferrero Rocher.
yes, that's
Those
what
are
it's
so
called,
good.
dude.
Ferrero
And the
Rocher is so
multi pack when it had all those flavors, I would just sit there, eat
Bro.
it. My grandma always had those laying
Oh
around.
my
Oh my
goodness.
god, yeah.
Wow.
Any all types are good. Um, but I do despise the elitists who are like, oh, only dark chocolate is good. No, all
Mm,
of them are good. You're just
yeah.
a baby.
Yeah. I had to kind of dark chocolate was an acquired taste for me cuz it was a little more bitter. And so when I was like a younger kid, I was on a solid milk chocolate kind of guy, but I've warmed up.
Mm, mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
understand. That's a lot of like dark chocolate enjoyers arc, you know. Oh, I didn't like it as a kid, but now
Mm-hmm.
my taste buds have evolved, you know, stuff
Right,
like that.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have like a favorite brand? Were you like a Hershey's, Dove kind of guy? Like what were you?
I always like Hershey's is the most accessible, like
Right, right.
whenever like before like online shopping and like oh just go pick up your groceries from like Walmart or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like go into the store. I would always like ask my mom, "Hey, can I get Reese's? Can I get Hershey's?" It was like always accessible, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So probably just like the when you know when you're going right next to the checkout line, they have all that candy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
fell for that
I
all the
think they
time.
put it there just so the kids will beg their
Yeah,
parents on the way out
yeah,
of the store
hundred
to buy
percent,
them
100%.
candy. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, let's move on to my next hot take. So this one is aimed at people, my school really. So if you are a listener who does not know what school Riyadh and I go to, I'll give you a little bit of background for this one.
Wait, I just want to don't name dox us. Don't
Oh,
dox
I won't.
us.
I'm not
Yeah.
name
Okay. Good.
doxing. Don't worry. So we are a very, very small school.
Hmm.
And we, for the last, basically since our existence, have been in a office building converted into a school, and it's pretty small. We do like pre-K toddler through like graduating high school, so we've had two different campuses that are both pretty small and have like they started out office spaces and then changed into a school, so you don't really get like a school vibe. And we are moving next year. We will be in a new building. It is a 4-story building. We are combining both campuses. And my hot take is that I am not pro move. I do not want to move buildings. And that
Hmm.
is very controversial with the people at our school. If you have heard me talk about this at school, for those of you who listening who go to the same school as me in Riyadh, you know that I'm not a big pro. I'm anti new building. And now you get to find out why.
Alrighty. Sorry about that. Just a quick little technical difficulty. But we're back. We were just talking about the new school and the new school building, and how it's four stories tall, and that you don't like it compared to the majority of students who are ecstatic about the new move. So, why specifically do you not like it?
So I've got a couple of reasons. So the biggest problem I think I have is I don't know how to, I don't think this is going to improve anything. I think it's like, I think our school has some very specific things that need to be improved, and this building change is not going to prove anything. I think it's actually going to exacerbate the problem. So, something that I personally have been advocating for at our school for a while now is a library. And what I mean by library, I don't necessarily mean a room full of books. I mean a room that is a dedicated study and quiet space. I'm talking a room that has materials for you to do projects, maybe some textbooks from a class, but one where if you go in there, you're expected to be very respectful of other people's studying. You won't eat in there, you won't have conversations in there. And that is something that we currently lack at our building. That just doesn't exist. If you want to do homework, you have to be in the commons, or you have to go to a different teacher's classroom, which I honestly really don't like. Like if I need to do homework, I have to go to a teacher's classroom, but if they're there, it feels a little awkward because that's just how it is. If they're in class and I can't go to their classroom, that's an issue. And even if I was, then like it's just not a good like environment in a classroom versus like a dedicated study space.
I understand. I understand. Yeah, we do lack like a specific study area outside of classrooms. To make it
Right.
even worse, it's the floor plans of the new building were leaked.
Mm-hmm.
So as Ontario mentioned, we're two separate campuses combining into one big building that's 4 stories tall. So the bottom two floors are going to be lower school, and then the top two
Right.
floors are going to be middle and high school, right? And the floor
Right.
plans for those top two were leaked, and there is a quote unquote air quote study room, but
Right.
from the floor plans it looks like the size of a closet compared to the
Yeah.
classrooms.
Yep. And to make matters worse, there is going to be one study room the size of a closet and 3 gyms or activity centers, which really makes me upset because then it seems like our school is promoting non educational things over educational
Mm.
things.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you are actively deciding to build an activity center over a library or a study space, you are saying that you think this activity center and the like non-education that goes on in there is more important than the education
Mhm.
stuff. And that's not, I don't agree with
Yeah.
that at all.
To add wood to the fire, one of the teachers leaked that outside of class hours, classrooms will be locked. I don't know. Have you
Right?
heard about this? Yeah.
I have
So
heard this.
because the reasoning, I understand. The reasoning is like, oh, kids left alone could do crazy stuff, and I understand that, but it's just another resource being taken away from the people
Right.
who actually want to study.
Because, right. Because let's say that this study room is too small, too cramped. People don't follow like a rule of being quiet. Then we're in the same situation of I have no specific place to study, but now I don't even have a classroom to go to, so I can't study anywhere. So it's just a really big problem that I feel is not being addressed. And I have brought it up. I've brought it up to the dean of our school, and I was like, well, why aren't we building a library or a big study space? Why are we instead building another activity center? And I was told it was because more people will enjoy the activity center more than a library. Or like, just like our student population needs or would want a activity center more than a library. But it just rubs me the wrong way, because maybe they don't realize that they need a study center. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to sound like
You're okay. Wait. Before you like throw shade at some students, I'll say it for you in a nice way. You know, like that.
Yeah.
You think that if there was a study room available, is that a lot more students would be focused on that kind of. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think right now our commons are loud and crazy. And if that's the only place you can study, you're of course going to instead talk to your friends. You're not going to focus on your homework or your reading assignment. You're going to interact with the people around you. But if you were in an environment where everyone is studying and it's quiet, you could so much easily focus. And that's just that's not being cultivated, and I really wish it was.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Ontario and I are juniors, and I think the only thing our school has currently in our now old building is a senior room where the seniors can just have a space.
Right.
But we are juniors, so we're quote unquote not allowed. But I go there and I go in there all the time. Just yesterday, Friday, I went in there because I had a study hall. I finished all my work. And I just wanted to draw. I just wanted a nice, quiet place. It was so lovely, you know. It has, like, nice little fairy lights,
That's great.
You know. But I think that space being reduced to only the seniors is, again,
right.
what you were saying, like, cultivating, you should do activities instead of focusing on education. Which is very interesting, because I'd never thought about that. But now that you're saying that, it's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And then that's my big reason against the move. Then I have some other like memory things. Like, there are so many parts of the buildings that we have fun names for, like the Fishbowl, which is a room that is like 95% windows. So when you walk through it, it looks like you're walking through the inside of a fishbowl. And we won't get to call a building the Fishbowl anymore. There's a mural by, our school has a coffee shop. It's called Ibeanery. There's a mural on a wall right next to it that a very talented art student painted. It's honestly really beautiful, and it'll just be demolished, and that makes me really, really sad. There are just like so many things specifically about the building that like won't carry over, and that's more like sentimental stuff, but I'm sad to see it go.
Yeah, I understand that. And if I'm honest, going back to like to the original hot take, you know, you're anti the new building. I am somewhat, but not for the same reasons. I am for, if I'm honest, if you throw middle and high schoolers in whatever building, they're just gonna cause havoc. They're gonna be high schoolers and be middle schoolers, right? What I'm worried about is lower school. The first thing is our school right now is there's a lower campus and upper campus, right? So 2 campuses, but we're combining into one. And I drove to the new building, and my number one thing that I immediately noticed is, where are they gonna put a playground? Dude, I have so many like fun memories being in elementary school, like playing like gaga ball, playing soccer on that. But they have it's all concrete. It's like very,
Wow.
That was my immediate thought.
Whoa. I did not think of that.
Yeah,
That's a really
I was just
good
like,
point.
man, all these children are going to be stripped of that memory. Hopefully there is some type of thing.
Hopefully,
It's not even started construction yet. They say it's going to be done in June, but I call cap.
Oh, for sure. Well, our lease on the building will end
Yeah.
at some point, and so like if like what happens if we have no building? Like, you know what I mean?
Um,
I like your point about the whole lower school stuff, cuz another thing I'm worried about is that like I will want to leave the building while lower school is doing something like nap time. And it's going to make leaving the building a little bit more difficult because I'll have to be really quiet through the first floor and I won't be able to like talk to people. Or there'll be like lower school people out in the hallway and I'll have to like scoot past them. You know what I mean? Like this might seem really selfish, but like I feel like as a senior, I just don't want to have to be around small children every day.
I respect that.
Like I want to be around people my age.
I respect that. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Okay, I want to go on to another concern I have about the new building.
Yeah, for sure.
The new building is situated right next to an abandoned hotel.
Oh,
And
that
at
is
first
true.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, whatever, right? But when I drove past the new building, I saw this massive parking lot with a bunch of homeless people. And I'm not saying anything bad about the homeless people, but that could be potentially dangerous for like the lower school, you know. So that's just another concern I have. Unless that hotel is going to be brought up within the next year, that is a big concern. I can see
Right. That
in my
is
mind,
the-
I can visualize the middle schoolers going outside, messing around in that, like that parking lot, or yeah, in that parking complex, and just causing a havoc, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. And I've heard of squatters being in that hotel before too.
Yeah.
So
I did
Yeah.
see lights on, but I assumed it was just like, I didn't know what I
Right.
assumed. I just like was like, oh, I don't think anyone's living there, but it did pop into my head. What if? Because it was only some rooms lit up, and it's an abandoned hotel. It's been abandoned since COVID, right? Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's another concern I had. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you are a staff member at our school, listen up because these are valid concerns.
Much appreciated.
Much appreciated. Of course, all respect to y'all.
But let's move on to something more lighthearted.
Let's move on.
Um,
Yeah.
My
Let's move
my
on
next
to
hot
your
take.
next hot take.
Having a fashion sense is meaningless. So let me explain let me explain first, define fashion sense, right? Just a sense of fashion, right? Simply put. I think that what fashion is what big companies try to push onto you and advertise as stylish, right? And I just want to make this clear. There's a big difference between style and fashion, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. So fashion, all
Right.
you need to be fashionable, quote unquote, is just money, right? You just need money to just buy the new things, right? There's always new things, and that's why they have these outlet stores, so you can buy like older stuff, even if they don't sell, but they just
Right.
keep mass producing, right? But I think why I say a fashion sense is meaningless is because I think style is everything. You don't need money for style. What you need is to be an introspective person, to know yourself, and to know what looks good and feel what you're confident in, right? You know,
Interesting. Okay.
I'm gonna use my mom as an example. My mom, she has a bunch of her friends, right? And all of her friends all the time are being like, oh my God, what is that? That looks so nice. You're so stylish or whatever, right? But then like, they'll have like an expensive something, but like, she doesn't need those expensive things to look good and quote unquote fashionable. I just think that fashion is like, especially fast fashion, like Shein. We talked about child labor earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We can go into it again, with
sure.
Shein and a bunch of these companies, right? But yeah, I just think that style is everything.
Interesting. Okay. I think I would agree with you on that. I think I would. Yeah. I think I can bring a bit of a perspective too. For trans people, it can be kind of hard to find a style because for me, like men's clothes don't fit me right. Like men's pants, I have like a female body. So it's hard for me to find clothes that like fit my style but are also like able to fit my body. So, I think I would agree with you. I think it's kind of hard to find a style sometimes though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And that's why I think it's honestly much, even that increases its value. That's a point I didn't bring up, but like, it's hard to find your style. You know, it's hard to be stylish. The
Right.
easy way out is to just spend a couple hundred, you know, on a new dress or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, that's like the easy way out. But I think style is so much more meaningful than fashion.
And confidence is
Truly.
everything, right? Like if you like maybe someone says, "Oh, I really don't like this," but like if you rock it, you rock it. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you think you look good, other people are going to think you look good, like no matter what it
Honestly,
is.
yeah. I think a lot of, especially teenagers, right, are scared to be different, there's a lot of pressure to have or like to fit societal norms, and that plays into clothing too and how you dress, right? If you're not wearing like, I don't know, Air
Absolutely.
Force Ones, you're like a brokey or whatever, you know. But just wear what you're confident in and feel good in, and you'll be good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a really good I think that's a really good take cuz I think some people like and I think it's important to say like if your style, like if you really like something that just happens to be really expensive, that's not necessarily bad. But I think if you're spending like a lot of money to kind of keep up with the
Mm-hmm.
trends, then that can be really problematic because fast fashion is really bad for the environment. It's really bad for like labor in general. So I think I totally
Yeah,
agree with you there.
100%. Not really a hot take, but just
Abs-
something I wanted to put out there, you know. A take
Right?
that
I know.
not a
I
lot of
I
people
totally
have
think
thought
that
about.
a
Hmm.
necessary take, really. Yeah, I like that one. That's
All
a
right.
really good take.
I think we're at the point where we can start getting into the spicier ones. Yeah.
The deeper
Oh,
stuff, the
yeah.
spicier ones. All right, this is my mid spicy. I would say it's not my spiciest, but it's kind of up there. So I would describe myself as an educational traditionalist.
Please define. Please define.
Yeah. So I've looked it up, and the label traditionalist has a kind of different meaning than what I'm using it as, but I couldn't think of a different word to use. So by traditionalist, I don't mean everyone should learn like core subjects and nothing else and then immediately move on to a job. I think that's horrible. I hate that. What I mean by traditionalist, I mean like I like sitting down and having someone lecture. I love lectures. I like I like having like reading discussions. I like taking notes. I like having a quiz every other week. I like a very, very structured. What I am not a fan of is things where you don't really get a lot of structure in class or you don't get a lot of work in class. I like I like being taught. I like being told things. And so when I'm in a class where it's kind of experimental, and I'm about to call out one of our
Wait,
teachers.
not by name, not by name.
Maybe
Yeah, okay.
not by name, but well, actually I can
Oh.
because he was on our podcast. Mr. Dalrymple, live, laugh, love you, but I'm not a fan of the simulations.
Hmm.
Never have been. Because I don't learn from them. Because I don't think you can make education a game. I really don't. I think, yeah, I think that's what I would describe myself as. I think, and another big part of this is I think people should go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah, I think you should go to
Yeah.
college. I don't really care where you go, but I don't like it when people say, "Oh, you don't need to go to college to get a good career" and all that kind of stuff. Like, you do. You do need to go
Mhm.
to college.
Okay. I'm glad that I let you explain because I hear the word traditionalist, bunch of red flags go off.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I looked it up. I looked it up, and it was like men and women should be
Yeah,
in
that's
different
that's what I think.
classrooms, and you should, and like religious
Yup.
teachings every other day. And I was like, whoa, I do not agree with that. I just, maybe I should describe it as I don't
You like structured learning, I would say.
like I like very
Okay.
structured learning, and I like more traditional methods like lectures and
And that's what you mean by
PowerPoints.
traditional.
Right, that is what I mean. But I don't mean, God, I do not mean like
Yeah,
segregation.
that's where my mind went.
Yet another not hot take. I do not like segregation. Crazy. But whoa. That is what I mean by traditionalist, is that I like just heavily structured school.
Okay, okay. Um, I think honestly, when it comes to specifically Gen Z, I do think it is a hot take. I think with any
Mhm.
other generation, it would be like, oh, no, that's kind of like a mantra that everyone goes by, right? But I think
Mhm.
for Gen Z is very out there, you know, and I think we're
Mhm.
very explorative of new ideas, um,
Right,
and that
right.
applies to education too. So I think yeah, it would be a hot take.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give my own personal take that
Yeah, come give it
I
to me.
have a bad take. I don't care. So,
Okay.
I there's a oh man, I'm forgetting the term, but I believe it's like it's something along the lines of like deep cognition or something like that. It's how can your brain my brother was talking to me about this. It's like how fast does your brain compute information and like absorb it, right? It's like um
Mhm.
there was a book I read called Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, and it talks about that our brains run off of two systems, right? We have system 1 and system 2. I think
Mhm.
I actually talked about this in an earlier episode. um,
I think you also, I
yeah,
think I've heard
yeah.
this before from you.
But yeah, system 2 is like a deeper cognition, and the level of system 2 that I have is like, I would say, I don't want to be egotistical, but like pretty developed. I feel like if someone,
Mhm.
whether they talk at me or I'm doing a simulation or you know they're having me do a project, I learn from it. So I
Mhm.
personally don't have a lot of like hate towards that hot
Okay.
take because I agree with it.
Yeah.
I do like that structure, but I'm also open to that more free form
Right.
learning.
Mm. See, and I think that works for some people, um, especially people who may have like trouble concentrating for longer periods of time, who kind of need that ability to be able to jump from topic to topic and to keep their interest levels up. But for me, it just does not work for me. I love my history class because like we will have a discussion about our reading, and then we will have a lecture to go with our reading, and that is like perfect to me.
Hmm. Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think it's perfect. I think this is very like a small critique, but I hate when they're lecturing and they turn off the lights, bro. Oh my god. I actually
Oh.
like I'm struggling. I'm like
Oh my
my
goodness.
eyelids get heavy. I'm like, oh man.
Bro, that's real. Sometimes like after lunch classes are the
Yes, and
worst
you're
too.
full and you're warm and you're like
I'm down.
the
Oh yeah.
lights are off and this guy's talking to you.
I feel that.
That's my only critique of
I feel
lectures
that.
is when it's like not interactive. That's what I appreciate about our history
Oh yeah.
teacher is he's like very like, oh, ask a question and then he has the students reply, right? And then he's open to
Right.
discussion too about the notes and about the lecture.
Right.
So I think yeah, I agree with you that like let's not use the word traditional, but
Right, yeah. Traditional's not the right word. I
But
apologize for using that. But
structured education is nice.
structured, yes. I live, laugh, love educational
Mm,
structure. That's a better,
yeah.
that's my
Okay.
hot take.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a pretty solid hot take. I'm gonna go into my
Yeah,
own next one. This is also mid
right.
spiciness.
Mid spiciness.
That
All right, all right.
Snapchat is the worst social media.
Okay,
Hmm.
interesting.
So,
Give me your
okay,
logic
I
there.
want to give a preface to this. And my background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use a lot. I use a lot of social media, but I only use one or two. Right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not counting texting platforms, by the way, like Discord or
Oh yeah.
like I use I use
Right,
Instagram
right, right.
just to text. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm talking
I
about
got
like
you.
actual social medias. Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've tried everything, but I've stuck with YouTube because I've liked the educational content. I've liked the literal infinite entertainment that it gives me. You know, you can be like scrolling through
Mm-hmm.
TikTok and get bored, but like when I'm on YouTube, I'm just like constantly fed content, but like it's not even like
Mm-hmm.
content that's like brain rotting me. It's like actual content that like I'm learning from. I'm a big consumer of like
Mm-hmm.
podcasts on YouTube and video essays, you know. But I just think Snapchat has barely anything going for it, especially
Mm-hmm.
in the context of Gen Z and the modern practices that go on Snapchat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a fan.
I think that's yeah. I I think I would agree with you that Snapchat is not a good social media app, but I don't think I'd go as far to say as it's the worst.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why is that? I'm curious.
I think Snapchat's bad. Like literally, I don't know who in the right mind thought giving kids the ability to send each other pictures that delete themselves after 24 hours would be a good
Yeah,
idea.
I believe it started as a
Because
dating
then
app.
you
That's like a common fun
it
fact about
did.
it. Not so fun fact.
Not
Yeah.
kind of creepy fact really, but like that is not okay because all I'm saying is it takes one person to lie about their age, send a picture that a kid does not want to have to see, and then it's deleted after 24 hours forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is really bad. But I do think there are
I'm
worse
curious. What do you
ones.
think is worse? Omegle.
Omegle.
Is that a social media?
I
It
think
would
it would
count as
count as
social
social
media.
media.
Yeah.
You can make like a bio and a profile. I'd say
Yeah.
Omegle's
Okay.
worse.
Me personally, I don't count it. I would say it's more like a streaming,
Okay.
because like you are streaming
Okay.
yourself to another person. It's kind of like Twitch or something, but just one on one instead.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, it,
Okay.
it it was shut down for those reasons because it was pretty bad. Um,
Right.
and then there's
Oh my
also the
gosh.
obvious
Ugh,
like
I hate it.
Reddit and 4chan, but those are forums. Those are online forums, and I don't count
Right.
those as social media. Those are online forums
Okay.
are the
Okay.
wild wild west of the internet.
That's great. Reddit is
Yeah.
crazy. Like,
And I personally don't count those as social media, but like the major
right.
ones like Facebook, just off the top of my head, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, stuff like that. Even Be Real nowadays.
Right. Be
Yeah, I just
realist.
think
Yeah.
Snapchat
Okay.
promotes little good. The only good that it does promote is giving you the ability to text, but there's other platforms that give you the ability to text
Mm-hmm.
in much healthier ways. Um,
Right. And you know another really thing about bad thing about Snapchat is that they introduced that Snapchat AI.
oh, I wonder why do you think that's bad? I'm curious.
So I've heard a lot of people tell their stories about their Snapchat bot who like got their personal information without like them telling it to their bot.
Oh wow. Well, it is owned by
And there have been
Facebook, I think.
stories that's yeah, there's also been stories about like it giving advice to younger people about like
I
adult
saw that. I
things.
think I saw
Yeah, I
like
know exact.
some screenshots of it telling like an obese person to like starve themselves or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And like I've seen it giving like 12-year-olds like dating
Yeah.
advice. And I just I don't know. I've heard really bad things about it, and it just seems weird to me because you can't send it pictures, and the entire point of Snapchat is it's like sending pictures to your
Mm-hmm.
friends. So I don't see like how it is helpful in any way. All I've ever seen people do with it is like bad things. Like I've never seen an example of someone was like, "Oh yeah, my Snapchat AI, we were vibing." Like
Yeah,
what?
yeah. The most common use I've seen for it is like kids looking up stuff in class. Because now Snapchat
Mm,
is on desktop, so kids just download it to their laptops and then
mm.
look up the answer to whatever thing, and it pops up. I didn't know. I completely
Right,
forgot
reading your
about the problematic like things that have happened on it.
right. Yeah. So actually, I would agree with you then. I would say that social media or Snapchat is the worst social
Hmm.
media.
Um,
I would
Best
agree with
one,
you.
100% YouTube. Not biased at all.
Not biased at all.
My personal, I don't know. YouTube's
Oh
good.
my gosh. YouTube's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
chill.
it's
Yeah.
pretty. It's a pretty safe pick, but it's a really good safe pick. You know, it's a really good pick.
I like that. I like that. That's a good pick.
What about you? What would
That's a
you
good
say
pick.
your favorite?
Okay. I the one I use the most is without a doubt Instagram. Yeah, I would say Instagram's probably
Hmm.
my favorite just because of the sheer amount I use it. I actually really like Instagram because it's like really the main way people share photos with their friends and their followers. I know everybody is always talking about like, oh, you'll see people on Instagram who like Photoshop themselves and you'll get really bad body image. And like how it's like negatively affecting people's mental health. But personally, for me, I've not experienced any of that. Like, I've said this so many times. My Instagram Reels is exclusively cat videos and Taylor Swift. Like, that is a serotonin boost all day, every day. Like, I get on my Instagram, like, quotes about, like, the healing journey or, like, inspiration stuff. I get stuff about, like, motivation to, like, clean your room or something. And then I did clean my room because I saw that. Like, I've seen a lot of things on Instagram that have been, like, pretty good. So I would
Yeah,
say it's Instagram.
I that's a good choice. You know, I think that um a lot of those body dysmorphia things is like a part of you is allowing it. If you can just
Right.
not follow those people, and if you do get something in your recommended, there's like three little dots you can tap on that and be like, hey, not interested, don't recommend me this.
Right.
And
Right.
it'll just stop. You know, I think that's a resource people are given that sometimes people you can fall into that trap, and I don't blame people who have gotten a lot of body dysmorphia,
Mm-hmm.
because it can stem from like even your friends or something like that. um
Right. Right.
but yeah, I
Absolutely.
think the larger scheme of it is it's like, yeah, you can tune your uh for you page, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a big
Hmm.
Instagram fan.
Alrighty, we're getting to the spicy hot takes now. Let's get it.
Okay, this is my
Mm.
penultimate hot take. This is my like really
Hmm.
spicy territory. So I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start with this one. Okay, I love politics. I'm very involved in politics. So this is a political hot take, which is we should get rid of the Second Amendment. Which, if for some strange reason you don't know what the Second Amendment is, it's the right to bear arms.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I uh, I hate guns. I hate guns. I hate guns. Um, and I don't think we should
Yeah,
have them.
I have my own personal experience with gun threats, and
Yep.
I, if I'm honest, I'm not educated enough to comment on this, but I'm curious, why do you think? I assume the obvious stuff like school shooting, stuff like that. But
Right. So I've got a really good
mm-hmm,
argument laid out for this because I've argued this to like actual politicians
love to hear it.
before. So it is like not up for discussion that gun violence is rampant in America right now. Like it's like almost an international joke that like if you go to America, you're going to be shot, right? Like there are school shootings every day, like or shootings every day. I don't let me look up what the number it is right now, but there have been in 2023 there were like double the amount of shootings every day than they were days in the year.
Wow.
Like there is rampant gun violence and no one is doing anything about it. Like there are people advocating for like background checks and not letting people to have AR-15s, but like nothing is passing in Congress right now. So my personal belief with guns is that there are three groups of people who should have them. And that should be the military, police officers and paramilitary groups, and hunters. I do not believe that if you are a regular old Joe Schmo living on the street, you should have a gun of any sort.
Yeah. Um, I think all of your points are valid, and it's really like the only argument personally I have heard against that, against your like position is, oh, America's about freedom, right? But I think there
Mm.
is a line where lives are more important than doing whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, right? Um,
Right. And I, so I don't think that a gun is like a fundamental freedom you have, right? Because a fundamental freedom to me is something you need to survive and is like something you're inherently born with. Like it's not something that's like man-made. A gun did not exist for like throughout all of human history, whereas like food, water, shelter has always existed.
that's a very good point. I'm gonna bring up another thing. I don't. This is kind of weird of me, but I don't really study America a lot. But what I like to study is China. China's just an interesting place. The economy
Mm.
is whack. Their government is whack. It's just fun to study, if I'm honest. But I want to talk about how they handle guns. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like America dialed up to a million in the opposite way. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
there,
Mm-hmm.
you're allowed as a citizen to have a gun, but you have to go through like hours and hours of investigate or interrogation. You have to get like in person, not just online background checks like they have now, but in person background checks where
Mm-hmm.
you get interviewed by the police, right? You have to have a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
specific reason to have the gun. If you just want a gun, you can't have it. You have to have a specific reason to have a gun. Like you mentioned, hunters. I think that's a big thing. That's a population that should have guns because they need to feed their family. And like you said,
Right,
guns
right.
are should what guns should be in modern society is a tool to provide food, water, and shelter. It doesn't need to be a
Absolutely.
tool to take away someone else's life, right? So I think how China
Right.
handles it and is like very inspiring, and because of how many like regulations there are like against guns in China, I believe that like their pop culture does not talk about guns, and majority of young people in China do not want guns or do not have a need for a gun. But then here in
Mm.
America, a middle schooler has a gun. Like, I think my
Mm-hmm.
problem with guns in America is accessibility.
Mm. And like other thing is with guns is a lot of there's a big argument that you can't take away people's guns because you need them for self-defense, because like if someone's attacking you with a gun you need to attack them back with a gun, and I understand that, but this is going to sound like really naive, but it is not intended to come off like that, which is what if you didn't need to defend yourself against a person with a gun because they didn't have a gun.
I was just
You know
about
what
to
I
say,
mean?
I'm like, what I think about that is that like viewpoint, oh, I need to defend myself from other people with a gun. You wouldn't have that problem if we had these like strict regulations such as China in the first place. You know what I'm like?
Exactly.
Like go
Right.
to the root of the
Like,
problem, not the problem itself, you know?
mm-hmm. Right. So a big issue right now is like the issue of, yes, we need to have gun control, but also what are we going to do with all of the people, the like insane amount of people who have guns in our country already? And the answer is really a buyback, which is what
Please
Australia
define
did.
buyback.
A buyback, okay, it's basically the government will pay you more money than what you bought your gun for. So if I bought a handgun for $200, the government would pay me $215, and I am legally obligated to give them my gun. So that's what a buyback is. They did that in Australia, and while it was not wildly successful, it was kind of like the first ever gun buyback that happened.
It's a first step. It's a really good first step.
It's like it's a first step, right? And we learned things from that. So I think a buyback is because the issue with a buyback is, of course, someone could say, "Oh, I don't have a gun," and then lie to you and then retain their gun. So there's definitely needs to be a lot more thinking on what to do with the current guns we have, and that's not something I've totally figured out. But I think we also need to nip the problem in the bud and just say, you don't get any more guns than what you have right now.
If I'm honest, I am not educated enough to speak on like a potential solution for the problem of what do we do with the people that do have guns. The main issues like popping up in my head right now is like, yes, there is like you have to get registered to have a gun, but a lot of those owners that it says in the system, oh, the X person owns a handgun, right? A lot of like, there's a lot of there's an underground like black market for guns, especially in crime-ridden cities, you know? So I think, yeah, there's a lot of problems, and I'm not personally educated enough to talk on it.
Right. And I also feel I'm not educated enough, but I do specifically, I am very strongly opinionated and very, I care a lot about the gun control issue. So I do try a lot to educate myself on this issue, which is why I feel like I can speak up on my opinion as why we should get rid of the Second Amendment. But I agree that I'm not as educated as experts out there who would be able to offer a solution.
That was a really good hot take. I think you had,
That's my spicy
you
take
had
right
some
there, is my
really
hot take.
good points for your take, and yeah, you're well educated on it, and yeah, it's a massive problem. My spiciest take, my magnum opus.
Magnum opus of hot takes.
It's not as like there's not much of it. It's not as like impactful as yours, but it is that Taylor Swift is more poet than lyricist. So first off, I want to begin by saying, not gonna lie, this whole argument just comes down to semantics. It's how you define lyricism. So let me give you my definition of lyricism that will not, in the modern context, right? I believe that like the whole purpose of music is to express yourself, right? It's an expressive art form, and I believe good lyricism illustrates the ability to push words to their maximum and use the words that you do have and that are in our language to the fullest ability. And I believe that Taylor Swift does have those moments where she is using great lyricism, but I don't think she's going as far as she can. And I'm not dunking on Taylor Swift. I think she's popular for a reason, of course, right? She's like number 1 artist in the world currently.
I was gonna say you can't duck on her. The Swifties
Yeah,
are gonna come after
I'm
us.
only like challenging the idea that she's a legendary lyricist such as like Bob Dylan.
But I think calling her more of a poet than a lyricist is almost a compliment.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%.
Because when I hear lyricist, I hear like writing a song that could be popular, and it's like maybe isn't using like really complex metaphors and like, you know what I mean? When I hear poem, I hear, oh, I'm going to analyze that thing.
And I'm glad that you point that out because it is kind of. I mean, she is a fantastic writer. She's famous for this. She writes her own songs, right? And like, she's a poet more than a lyricist. And yeah, it is intended as a compliment.
Yeah.
I just think that for me personally,
Yeah.
there are probably, she's maybe in the top. I actually no, I don't know about ranking, but I would say yeah, she's up there, definitely above top like 50, of all time. But yeah.
So I'm obviously a humongous Taylor Swift
Yeah,
fan.
point to the stuff in the
Here's-
background.
On YouTube, you can see my wall of 1989 Polaroid photos. I have every single CD. I've got the Reputation tour box. I've got like all of my movie merch. I went to the Eras tour. I did the things. I love Taylor Swift. And I think she is a genius. I do. I truly believe she is an incredible writer. Yeah. So I think I definitely would agree with you. And I think in some instances though, I think she's almost evolved into being more poet than lyricist. Because she's got some songs where I'm like, that's not the most, in-depth
100%.
metaphorical, like deep writing. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Like, I think that's doesn't have much below it. But she's got a lot of songs that like are poems.
My as a I don't listen to any Taylor Swift at all, other than when I was growing up, my mom would play it on the radio. That's my extent. So I only know her like hits and stuff. But yeah, that's my kind of perspective. Is like, yeah, at the beginning of her career, she was great writer, right? She was a great writer, and she could write a pop song, and she could write for the radio, right? But as she grew on, she had like better albums and better EPs that really showcased her introspective lyricism.
Right. I think the biggest example I could give of this is going to be Folklore and
I was just
Evermore,
about to bring Evermore up.
which
Yeah.
are right. Evermore, yeah. A lot of people. This is like a thing in the Swiftie community. Evermore is like recognized as being like an incredibly deep album.
My understanding of it, I'm like passionate about music. I love music, so I try to like consume everything I can. My thing about it is like, oh, it's a very depressing album, Evermore, and it really showcases her ability to be introspective.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it depressing. I would just say it's not upbeat, happy music. But if you listen to it, you're not going to cry.
Yeah. I use depressing sparingly there.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, she's got a song called Champagne Problems, which is often cited as being like her greatest work of lyrical genius or poetic genius of all time.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up one last thing before we move on. We took last semester a speech and debate class, and to finish it off, we all wrote our hot takes in
That's right.
in a bin. We threw them in, we took them out, and we said, we discussed them, right? And one of them was about Taylor Swift, and I briefly teased my opinion on this. I was like, hey, all I'll say is that Taylor Swift has never done a quadruple entendre that's also a double homophone. You know what I'm saying? And I just said some crazy like lyricist vernacular, and everyone was like dumbfounded. That just goes to show how like deep lyricism can get. I know that the traditional Google definition is not. It could like tailor to Taylor, but the modern definition of it, I think, is vastly different and has evolved.
I think the big thing to take away from this is that Taylor Swift is just amazing at what she does. And from either way you look at it, she's just like an incredible writer.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I put that as my hot take because I knew personally that you are a big Swiftie.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And if you said something wrong, I mean, we'd have like millions of Swifties like attacking
Yeah, I would
us.
be. I want to
Like,
be
we
alive right
wouldn't
now.
be
My IP
You'd be
address would be
done.
leaked.
No,
Yup.
you'd be done.
Everything.
You'd be
Yup.
doxxed, man. You'd be dead for.
Yeah. But I think it's a reasonable stance where I'm coming from. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, it's really semantic
Yeah.
too. So it's not like you're not saying like, oh, Taylor Swift is
Yeah.
bad. Like, she's obviously not.
Mhm.
Okay, are we ready for my hottest of hot
You
takes?
have one more in the bag.
I got one
Alrighty.
more in the bag. This is our last.
The
This is our
hottest
final
of
take.
hot takes. The magnum opus. All right, let's hear
Okay,
it. Drum roll, please.
this is gonna be good. Okay, democracy is bad.
Democracy.
Democracy is bad. That's where I'm at.
Man, there's so much to get into here. Yes.
There's so much to unravel here. All right, I'm gonna preface this all by saying, I read Plato's Republic and it changed my life, and I've written an essay on this, and it was my final exam for a college class I took last year. So I am very well versed in what I'm about to say. So yeah. So in Plato's Republic, there's this thing called the city-soul analogy. Do you know
No.
what that is?
I have not personally read the
Okay.
Republic yet.
Yeah, we'll read it next year in philosophy, but I'll explain a little bit. So basically, Plato says the soul of a person is like the same thing. It can be equated to a type of city or like type of society. So he ranks them from best to worst and kind of describes what a person would be like with that city in mind, if that makes any sense.
I'm following.
So the best is an aristocracy, followed by a timocracy, which just means like rule by the wealthy. Then we have an oligarchy, then we have a democracy, and then we have tyranny. So in this list of, and it's not like an equal list, by the way. It doesn't go equally bad. It's basically saying that like aristocracy is the best, timocracy is really good, and then everything else is horrible. So that was when I first read that, I was like, whoa, democracy's pretty low. And I live in America.
Yeah, we're number one. We're
American.
always going to other countries, quote unquote, spreading democracy.
All right. We got
Vietnam.
Iron wielding democracy. We're totally not committing genocide or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's when I was first like, whoa. But the thing that really, really sold it for me is the ship of state analogy. Which that's the big thing I took away from the Republic. If you read the Republic, everyone will be like, oh, you'll take away the allegory of the cave. I took away the ship of state analogy, which says this. There are a bunch of sailors on a ship that has no captain. All of these sailors are fighting each other to be captain. They are convincing one another who would be the best captain. They're bribing each other. They're fighting each other because they all want to be the captain. But all along, the best fit person for captain was just standing elsewhere, not participating. And it's So what that kind of is interpreted to is people who want power are necessarily not the ones who should wield it.
And that is why democracy is low on the list, because you are self-electing, right? You have to go to the polls.
Yes, because
or not go to the polls, but like you have to register
it's
to be a candidate.
right, because it's not because you yourself have to go and campaign and say, I want to be in power. And ever since I read that, I was like, oh my God, democracy bad. Like, whoa, that, and it changed my life, because I have been so big into politics. When I read that, like, I was like, I am not going to run for office ever. Like, my goal was to be a politician, and I am never going to do that now. Like, I don't even want to run for like school related positions anymore. Like, that is how much I believe like it's bad. And that it's like it's really impacted me.
That's very interesting.
Because it makes sense that, like, if you are like really wanting to be in power, maybe you're not the one we should put in charge. Like, maybe power hungry people shouldn't be given
So
power.
here's my question. So if democracy is flawed, right? What is there, or if there even is, like a system of governing, or where like you don't have to self-elect, be like and run for candidate?
I have thought about that so deeply, it's crazy. And I actually like opened up a Google Doc like a while ago, and I made up a government system, and I like word vomited how it would work. So I have like an actual doc, like I know I have an answer to that, which is, I believe it would be random selection. So there would be no elections, there would be no anything. There would be a lottery system of some sort in which you were randomly selected and required to be a governor of some sort. But this would be a random selection of people who are highly educated. So you wouldn't get like a college dropout as your president. You would get like maybe someone who has like a master's degree or a PhD. So I've thought this all through, and there's way more that I thought about that I just can't remember right now, but my solution is random selection of highly educated peoples.
Okay, so I believe, I'm not mistaken, but the Athenian democracy, I remember this from like 7th grade history class, but I just remembered that didn't they I'm looking it up, I believe they, yeah, here, let me read this quote from Wikipedia. The officials of the democracy were in part elected by the assembly, and in large part chosen by lottery in a process called sortition.
Right. I remember this too, where like they were like chosen by lottery, and then people could
and
vote
it was
on them.
that's yeah, I mean, everyone loves Greece and their system. Why don't we do that? Just anyone educated over 20. We need some young politicians. That's a current problem.
No, we got enough old
That's
white
what
people.
I'm saying, man. Get them out of here.
Like, bro, get them old
Yeah.
white men out.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Immediately when you said even running for school positions, that brought up my own experience with being class rep. I joined my new school in 6th grade, and ever since 6th grade, every year I have been class president. And it's kind of funny
That's
that
right.
you said that the ones who should be elected are not the ones who should run, because I agree with that, and I'll give my experience, and I'll explain why. I at first, of course, coming to new school, I was like, you know what, I'm a leadership type person, so let me run for it. And there
Mm-hmm.
was like competition, right? There was other candidates running, but every time up until seventh grade, I had like won it against a competitor, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm thinking on it, like everyone ever since high school started, I don't want to sound egotistical, but like if there has been a candidate that has run against me, they have gotten little to no votes. And then
Mm-hmm.
in the year that no one ran against me, it was just like, yeah, I'm class rep, you know.
Right.
And I think that's very interesting because I feel like maybe in the years prior I wasn't as suitable to run as leader, but now that I've gotten to a position where I'm like I'm known, people just elect me without even me running as a candidate. So I'm actually
Right.
I'm just applying my own personal experiences to what you said, about how the real leaders shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
elect themselves, and that's interesting because I feel like I have gotten to that point.
Interesting. Okay, I can see that because I I remember I ran against you like freshman year, and like you didn't declare that you were running until like 5 minutes before the election. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally gonna win class rep. And then you said, oh, I'm running, and then I lost by a landslide.
Yeah,
So you've always been class rep.
I am
Like,
a personal despiser of campaigning. I don't know.
mm,
I don't have any reasons why. Just I just don't like campaigning. Like Potsdam, we have a position in our school, basically school president. It's not anything like
right.
impactful. You're just a figurehead, but it's just like a fun title to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I did run last year, but I did no campaigning, and I got third for it, I believe. So I think
Yeah.
I like positions where I don't have to campaign, and I feel like class rep is now a position
Yeah.
like that where I don't have to campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad that you've gotten to a point where it's like you're not conflicted about it.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah,
man,
that's
I
good.
gotta read the Republic, man.
Dude, it is, oh my gosh, that book, like it is, I can't, and I was like a hater of the classic Greeks, and like I read so much of their work now. The Republic, it takes a while because I don't remember, it's either 9 or 10 books. And by books, I mean like
Oh yeah,
chapters.
yeah. That's yeah.
But he calls them books. And they're 30-ish pages long. It's really long. But it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. That was our final hot take of the day.
That was our
Yeah.
last hot take.
One more thing
This was a
before
long
we go.
episode.
I just want to say, if you're an audio listener, just please check out the YouTube because new
Mm-hmm.
Ontario got a new haircut, and no one has seen it.
It's true. I got
Please take off the
Haircut?
beanie, show it off. Show the
Oh yeah. Hold
the
on.
high.
Let me get
Oh wait, no, I can't spoil it. I
the
can't
height.
spoil anything. I was gonna say
Hold on.
what you got, but
Yeah. Don't no spoilers
yeah.
for audio listeners. It's a little surround. I actually totally stole this idea from a guy who's in our grade. This would be so embarrassing. I took a video of his hair. I got him to turn around so I could show it to my barber so I could get like the exact cut.
Yeah.
But I love this haircut. It's really
Yeah.
good for
Just
me.
make sure to check that out. You don't have to listen twice, but just
Yeah.
check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Skip to a while in and you'll get the cut.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening and watching.
Yeah, thanks for joining in. We'll see you next time on Big City Small Talk.
Goodbye.